Now let's give a warm welcome to Craig Cheslog.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, class of 2015. How are you today? First, I want to extend apologies from State Superintendent of Public Instruction, Tom Torlakson. Late yesterday afternoon, he found out he had to do his civic duty and respond to a court order and go to some meetings today. So that's why you're stuck with me, but I'm glad to be here. And one reason I'm glad to be here is I've made a note. Clearly, @CraigCheslog is a really boring Twitter handle, and I need to change that. So thanks for that inspiration. I also want to ask you all, you wouldn't be here today without the support of a group of great teachers, principals, and staff who got you here. So please take a moment. Let's thank our teachers, the principals, the school staff who got us all here today. Thank you very much. This is an extraordinarily important idea, your right to vote. Our democracy doesn't work if people don't show up. And people who are in elected office, while they'll listen to everyone, what they really want to listen to are the people who vote, because that's how they stay in office, is by convincing people to vote for them. And so complaining and talking just isn't enough. Voting is what you have to do. And as you've heard from your fellow students, voting is something that people are dying for. The right to vote is something people are dying for throughout the world. And all you have to do is register, show up, mail in your ballot. We make it as easy as possible here in California. And it's shocking. Right now, the political experts are telling us that we're going to have record low turnout at this election. And that's not something that we should celebrate. That's something we must try to change. And that's why State Superintendent Torlakson wants all of you to be ready to go out there and to vote. 1 out of 5 adult Californians, only 1 out of 5 adult Californians are expected to turn out to vote. So if all of you get out and vote, you can really make a difference and change things the way you want them to be changed, instead of just letting those adults make all those decisions, because now you can do something that you can vote for the rest of your lives and take advantage of these wonderful opportunities. In fact, there's one district in Sonoma County where the polls were open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. and 0 people turned out to vote in June. 0. Now, people like me look at districts like that so we can tell you about them. Don't be the joke at the next assembly we have to do. Who's going to make sure they get out to vote? Who's going to make sure their friends get out to vote? Are you going to do it? Don't opt out. This is something easy to do. It's easy to forget to vote, but you're not going to forget because you're here. It's easy to let someone else decide. How many of you like letting other people decide what's important to you? How many of you would rather you decide what's important to you and what is important in this democracy? Who's going to take responsibility for that here today? Who is going to refuse to give up because they're frustrated about how things are going, and is going to show up and make a difference, not just by voting, but by getting involved in their communities? Who's going to do that starting today? Voting is a sacred right. Voting matters. Active, informed citizens make better decisions about where we are going and what we are going to do. We need you to step up, because throughout the centuries, it is people who have fought and died and tried to keep the right of vote alive, so that people like you, as you turn 18, can have that idea and have that opportunity today. Please don't let them down. Voting can matter. Just this past June, less than 1 vote per precinct changed several elections. 1 vote per every precinct. If there had been 1 more person who had shown up and voted a different way, we would have had different results. Your vote does matter. Don't let anybody else tell you that. Because even in elections that aren't close, the larger a margin something is, tells people like me that means, wow, that won by a lot. We better go do that before the people rise up and take us out of office. So make sure you're voting, no matter how broad the electorate seems, no matter how big the margin may seem. Voting matters every single time. And your right to vote is something you should cherish and start to cherish today. And that's one of the reasons why State Superintendent Torlakson joined the Chief Justice of our state, and we did a civic learning task force, which focused not just on getting people like you to vote, but also focused on the fact that your votes can be heard, your views can be heard, not just on election day, but those of you heard your classmates tell you, join a commission, get out there, volunteer in the community, take a stand. You can all take a stand, you can all make a difference. Please vote, but don't stop there. So, are you ready to vote? No, seriously, are you ready to vote? Because I have to tell you, after the election, they published the voter turnout results, and I'm going to check, and I'm going to see, did this area, all of you who are represented here, did you increase voter turnout in your area? We're going to check. So, are you going to vote? Are you going to get your friends to vote? Are you going to get your family to vote? It cannot be, it is your most important task. Make sure people participate in this election. Let's prove the experts wrong. California is going to vote. California is going to vote in record numbers, and all of you are going to help make that happen. Let's get out and vote, and thank you very much.
I would like to introduce Valley View High School ASB Vice President Angelina Astorga, who will be reading your questions from the Twitter feed. Angelina, come on up to the stage.
All right, so question number 1 was mentioned by @Vitrano Planks. What is being done to improve education for future high school students?
The first thing that we have been doing to improve education is that the voters of California, in a way that voters can make a difference, a couple of years ago, passed Proposition 30, which stopped the cuts to our schools. All of you lived through a horrible time where, because of budget cutbacks, because of the economic crisis our state faced, all of you saw cuts to your schools. How many of you saw your class sizes grow? How many of you saw classes that you wanted to take not be offered? How many of you saw you not have the opportunities to do extracurricular activities that you know your older brothers and sisters or cousins used to have? Well, you know what? Getting out and voting, 2 years ago, California voters passed a proposition that provided extra tax money which stopped the cuts to our schools. And so now we are investing in them again, because we are 49th in the nation in per pupil spending. 49th. That's unacceptable. And I'm sorry all of you had to go through school during that time. But we need all of you now to remember what that was like. And for your younger brothers and sisters, and for your cousins, and for your community to step up and vote, because investing in our schools is the first way we can work to make our schools better. And we're also doing other things. How many of you like the fact you did not have to take the bubble test last year? Did you miss that? That is part of improving schools, because we're changing the way we evaluate our schools, and we're also changing the way we bring back programs. How many of you like the arts and music? How many of you would like to see more of it? So I'm the chair of a statewide coalition that's determined to bring back the arts, not just for some students, but for every one of the 6.2 million students in our schools. So let's continue to work, and that's why your vote matters, because if Californians didn't vote 2 years ago, you would have had hundreds of you would have faced $6 billion more in cuts over the last 2 years. How many of you are glad you didn't have to go through that?
Thank you. All right, question 2 from @J_Dizzle. Since all the states are dropping Common Core, why is California deciding to stick with it?
The Common Core has California is doing the Common Core in a different way from most states, because we learned from the mistakes some other states made. We've done it a little bit more slowly. We've done our testing more slowly. But what you hear about the Common Core is usually not a problem with the Common Core. It's usually a problem because it was implemented too fast, The tests were done without enough preparation. We didn't provide teachers enough support and training in order to teach them correctly. The standards haven't been the problem. It's the way other states have implemented them. And so in California, we've done it a different way. And that is one of the reasons that we've been able to be more successful, and Californians continue to support, the polling says, what we are trying to do, because these standards, which get rid of a lot of, which allow us to go deeper and are designed to make sure that our students graduate ready to succeed in their career or college. So we're moving forward because what we had before didn't work. The bubble test did not prepare our students for what they need to do, because we want all of you to be successful in the 21st century, and that requires a different type of thinking and a different type of learning, and that's what we're trying to provide.
Thank you. And the last question was tweeted by @HLRahib7. Why is it important that I vote? Does my vote really matter?
Yes, your vote absolutely matters. I wouldn't have come here today if it didn't. I found out at 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon in Sacramento that I needed to find a flight and get down here to represent the superintendent. Why? Because your vote matters, and you need to know that. Your vote matters. We need all of you to get out there and vote, because you know what? The people who tend to vote, I'm going to be blunt, they're older. Do older people share the same values all of you share? They tend to be more male. So especially the women in the audience, you might want to care. And in a state of California, our strength is our diversity. Our strength is the ethnic and cultural diversity that we face. If the pollsters are right, the electorate is going to be overwhelmingly Caucasian. Don't let that happen. Let's have the voters of California reflect the people who live here, and all of you have to help make that happen.